Hello, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're talking about something that's super important for both your garden and the planet: composting. Composting is a great way to reduce waste, enrich your soil, and create a more sustainable garden. And the best part, it's super easy to start, even if you're a complete beginner. Today, I'm going to take you through a step-by-step guide on how to compost at home. We'll talk about what you need, what you can compost, and some great tips and tricks for keeping your compost pile healthy. Let's get started. First things first, let's talk about what you'll need. The basic essentials are compost bin or pile. You can buy a compost bin, or if you're on a budget, simply make a pile in your yard. Compost bins are great for keeping things neat and contained, but piles work just as well. Compostable materials. We'll get into what to compost shortly, but make sure you have a good mix of greens and browns. Water. Compost needs moisture, so a watering can or a hose will come in handy. Shovel or pitchfork for turning your compost and keeping it aerated. Now let's talk about the materials you'll use for composting. Composting works best with a balanced mix of two types of materials: greens and browns. Greens are the wet, nitrogen-rich materials. These include things like fruit and vegetable scraps, coffee grounds and filters, grass clippings, fresh leaves, tea bags. Make sure they're compostable. Browns are dry, carbon-rich materials. These include dry leaves, straw or hay, shredded cardboard or a newspaper, egg cartons, wood chips. A good rule of thumb is to aim for about 2 to 3 parts browns for every 1 part green. The right balance helps your compost break down faster and prevent it from smelling. Now, there are some things that should never go into your compost pile, so let's go over that quickly. Meat, dairy, or oily foods, they can attract pests. Diseased plants or plants with pesticides. Pet waste. Keep it to human waste only. Weeds that have gone to seed, they may continue growing in the compost. Anything treated with chemicals. Stick to the basics: fruit and veggie scraps, leaves, grass clippings, and your compost will thrive. Now that we have our materials, let's start layering. The key to successful composting is to layer your greens and browns. Start with a layer of browns, like dry leaves or straw, at the bottom of your compost bin or pile. Then, add a layer of greens, like vegetable scraps or grass clippings. Keep alternating these layers until your pile is about 3 feet high. These layers help with airflow, which is crucial for the composting process. You want to make sure the pile stays aerobic, meaning it gets plenty of air, so it breaks down properly. To keep things moving along, you'll want to turn your compost pile every few weeks. Turning helps to aerate the pile, which speeds up decomposition. Just use a shovel, pitchfork, or compost turner to mix things up. If your compost feels too dry, add a little water, and if it's too wet, add more brown materials like dry leaves or straw to balance it out. Depending on the size of your compost pile and how often you turn it, it can take anywhere from a few months to a year to break down into rich, dark, crumbly compost. Don't worry if it doesn't happen overnight. Patience is key. When your compost looks and smells like rich, dark soil and no longer has any recognizable food scraps, you'll know it's ready to use in your garden. Tips and tricks for better composting. Here are a few additional tips to help your compost pile thrive. Chop or shred large materials. Smaller pieces break down faster, so chop up your vegetable scraps or shred larger branches or leaves. Keep it moist, but not soggy. Your compost should be like a damp sponge. To dry, and it won't break down. To wet, and it could smell. Add worms. If you want to supercharge your compost, add some red wiggler worms. They'll help break down organic matter even faster. Cover your pile. If it's really hot or wet outside, cover your compost pile with a tarp to maintain the right temperature and moisture levels. Once your compost is ready, you can use it to enrich your garden soil, add nutrients to your potted plants, or just improve the health of your lawn. It's like giving your plants a nutrient boost, and it's 100% organic. So there you have it, a complete step-by-step guide to composting at home. It's a simple, sustainable way to reduce waste and create healthy soil for your garden. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. And don't forget to subscribe for more eco-friendly gardening tips. Happy composting, and I'll see you in the next video.